Is public speaking on your most hated things to do list? Well, today we're talking about some of the baked in benefits of Toastmasters. Today on Coffee with Tea. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, Tonia, and I'm excited today because I get to reconnect with one of my former president of Toastmasters of the club I was in, standing room only. So let me give you a shout out because they really helped me to be able to do what I do now. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Eric Hansen, who was the president of the standing room only when I attended. So thank you for coming back and joining us, Mr. Eric.
Thank you for having me, Tonia. It's a pleasure to see you again. Well, I've seen you before just recently. It's a pleasure to talk to you about Toastmasters. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Like I said, Toastmasters helped me significantly be able to get out of my comfort zone of being able to speak. So if it wasn't for Toastmasters, this podcast and this video probably would not be existing. So, and
I
you were
understand.
an integral part of that because you got us up out of our comfort seat and really basically told us when we were there that this was the time to get up and make our presence known and not be afraid to make mistakes. So how did that come about? Because I know you were in Toastmaster for a number of years. So
Right.
how did that really come about for you?
Well, the first thing that it came about for me because I had the same issues that anybody else did. I didn't like talking in public. I would clam up. I would stutter. I would go, all the time, or have some sort of filler words. So I knew from experience, my own experience, how Toastmasters helped me and what it did for me, and how when you talked about having the confidence to get up in a place where it was safe, that you didn't, that you learned and you didn't get criticized and you didn't have to feel bad. That is really one of the keys for me of Toastmasters. It's a safe place to experiment in all kinds of ways, with planned speeches, with off the top of your head speeches, with talking to different kinds of people. So that's how, for me, I was able to take my experience and let the members know it will work for you too if you do the work.
Right, right. And I remember you were one of those speakers I would hate to say would be assigned to my critiques, and I'm like, oh, he's so seasoned on on his speeches, and I'm like, but you used to tell us, get up, make the mistakes. This is the place to do it. So thank you for allowing that. So when new members are coming, what's some of the things that you think they're missing out if they don't really take advantage of being able to come out there and meet?
Well, there are a couple of different things come to mind. So the one we've talked about already is just having the comfort and confidence level to get up in a situation and give a presentation, a planned presentation, or talk off the top of your head to somebody. That is also part of Toastmasters. It's maybe not known as much, but the table topics is, as you know, a 1 to 2 minute speech that somebody asks you a question and you give it off the top of your head. Another thing that I find very valuable is that it's a chance to organize, a way to organize your thoughts. If you're giving a presentation, it helped me. I've seen it helped other members organize their thoughts in a way that allows them to tell a coherent story, beginning, middle, or end, something that will attract people and draw them in, that sort of thing. Those are two areas that I'm thinking of. And I just also realized we probably need to tell people a little bit more about what Toastmasters actually is.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you want to go ahead and tell? Well,
From my experience?
Go ahead and tell your experience.
From my experience, Toastmasters was when I came in, I I was pretty comfortable on the leadership part, which I didn't know they had the two aspects of it. So there is the leadership portion, and then there's the speech portion. So my aspect when I came in, I was really for the public speaking aspect of it. So I didn't really lean towards the leadership where, you know, as you were saying, as I was explaining to you, you were the president, so we
Right.
get different roles. So how
Right.
how do you really would say dive into more about the Toastmasters and how the leadership end really helps people?
Well, they've changed the formatting some, so it no longer has the competent communicator, competent leader books. So there's not the leadership projects as such anymore. But part of the learning path has leadership speaking things in it. So where do I start with it? So, for example, there's a path you can take. I forget what exactly it's called, but it's about leadership. And so your first speech is, or one of your first speeches is how to receive feedback and how to give feedback. So, in that, you're talking about, you're learning for yourself and talking about feedback. How do I get feedback? What's an effective way to give feedback? What's an ineffective way to give feedback? And you're practicing getting and receiving feedback because that's part of the project. So this is one of the things I really like about Toastmasters. It's not just theory. It's not just listen to somebody talk to you about here's how you learn how to get feedback. You get in there and you do it, and you learn by experience, and you get the feedback. And what I like about this new method as well is that they have you do it again. So you would give the same speech again based on the feedback that you got, based on your own feedback. What would you do to change that? So it's a learning process that goes on. That's I always think I like the term baked in. So it's baked into Toastmasters. Experiential learning is part of the experience. So you're you're not, if you take advantage of it, you're not just listening to somebody tell you how to give feedback. You are getting up and you're giving feedback. You're getting up and learning how to construct a story, how to draw people in, particularly in table topics. So people, it's like table topics, people will often repeat the question. So, what is the best experience I've ever had? That's not going to draw somebody in. But as you get more experienced with speaking in table topics, you might say, I remember one time I was skydiving and my parachute didn't open. Something like that. So
Right.
you automatically, I mean, that isn't something I've done. That's not something that happened to me. Something I used to think about doing skydiving, but nah, that's not going to happen. So,
Right.
anyway, that idea of what is an opening that's going to attract people, it's going to draw
Right.
people in, and there are tools that are mentioned of how you do that and what you have to do in order to learn how to draw people in, how to tell a story, because it's not, well, stories are the ways, and stories can be all kinds of different things. Personal experiences, you can tell a story about somebody else, you can, recite facts, but if you put some anecdote to it, it helps people connect to it. People connect, I think we've talked about this
Right.
setting this up. People connect to people. People want to hear about people. People want to know what I'm thinking, what you're thinking. They want to have a connection to someone, not just somebody citing a bunch of stories and facts. So that is one of the. I think I've covered a bunch of things that are how Toastmasters has helped me.
Right. Right. And for those who don't know about table topics, it's like you said, Eric mentioned, it's 1 to 2. You don't know exactly what's going to be. I hate to use this phrase "thrown at you," but that's basically what it is. They throw it out there, And some people will volunteer to answer the question, and if you don't raise your hand, they will pick you out to do it. And
Yeah.
you basically have, like I said, 1 to 2 minutes to respond, and so it helps you start thinking on your feet a little bit more. Process some of the ideas. You can, like I said, you can, the way you introduce the question or
Hmm.
rephrase the question,
Hmm.
you're processing it in through your head. So
Right. Right.
I that's really a good, I think, a great feature of Toastmasters that's really beneficial. I think another thing, the critique part, like I said, the feedback is
Right.
really, because I think it also changed my thinking of feedback, because people will give you their idea, and it's usually basically to help you improve your speeches, correct?
That is the purpose of feedback in Toastmasters. Yes.
But at the same time, I remember having one person said when they critiqued me was, it's just feedback. This is advice you can use or not. So it's not like you have to use it, but you got a group of people who are dedicated to listen to your speech and give you critical feedback. So
Right. Gives you
that's a
constructive feedback. That's
yeah.
the
So
goal.
it's not to tear you down.
No, 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 no. That is not part of the process. The part of the process is actually to build you up. At least that's
Right.
it's to give you confidence. The idea of I'm getting constructive feedback. Nobody's here to beat me up. Everybody's here supporting me. Uh, this happens as I've seen in other places. Your audience generally, almost always, perhaps in a few instances, doesn't, but they will almost always want you to succeed. They're rooting for you. So one of the issues that Toastmasters helps with, and in the feedback as well, is and on the people don't know when you've made mistakes, and often don't, well, they don't know and they don't care and they're not interested in the mistakes. They'll focus on the things that are positive. So one of the other things about public speaking, particularly with Toastmasters, they don't want you to use notes if at all possible, is that it allows you to start thinking on your feet even in a prepared speech. So it's like this happened just when I first started Toastmasters, I would write out my speeches and I'd try to memorize them. I try to get every line perfectly, every line right, and know what I was going to say next. And it never really worked. I usually forgot something.
Right.
And I would go, well, I was trying to think of what I forgot. So I'm not perfect at it, but I got better at it. The idea of I forgot something. I know I forgot something. Can I just leave it out or can I put it in some other place? And this is going on while I'm talking. I'm not stopping to think about that. So that's part of the practice is, oh, I could put it in here. Nobody's going to know it was supposed to be up here, but I can put it in here instead. And it still works. And another thing that when you asked about leadership, one of the things I forgot about was yes, you get to be in different roles, both in the meetings and for the club as a whole. And those are also leadership learning opportunities. When you are, well, when you're president, you're leading the whole club. When you're, if you are VP, vice president of public relations, you are in charge of public relations. You're in charge of getting the word out. You're in charge of doing that. So that is another leadership possibility there of you doing the work. The other thing, in larger clubs, ours is pretty small, as you know, you can often recruit team members to help you with your public relations. So that's another aspect of leadership. Um, and you're learning all the time that leadership isn't just making decisions, it's helping people be their best. And so
Right.
that's also quote unquote baked into Toastmasters. The goal is to help people be their best. So that's those are a couple of different things, and I'll probably return to that idea that the Toastmasters process is designed to help people be their best, and that's one of the reasons I've been in it for 11 years now.
Right. There's another aspect we were talking about prior to this recording is the aspect of networking.
Yes.
We were talking about how you can actually network and meet with a bunch of people on different levels. So how beneficial have you found that overall with the 11 years that you've been with Toastmasters?
So is that I hearing the beep? Is that you or me?
I think that's you.
Okay. Do you hear a beep?
Yeah, I hear a beep. I don't might be a truck backing up. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking too. I couldn't tell. I'm
So
sorry to have to interrupt, but it's like, what is that? So now the podcast viewers will also know what it is. So
oh yeah, that's okay.
so the it's not just networking, but it's getting exposed to people who think and view the world differently. Um, we talked when we were talking about is how often people these days find their niche and only hang around with people in that niche. They will, whatever it's political, it's creative, whatever it is, they only get into that small group. With Toastmasters, there's a wide range of people who show up, and so not only are you interacting with them socially a little bit. We don't do a lot of socializing, but there are some meetings where that's the whole goal is socializing. And there's always some chance before and after the meeting to do a little socializing. But everybody's giving a speech at some point, and you're learning something about their point of view that is going to be different from my point of view or your point of view. And it's an opportunity to connect, in your head intellectually and also a little bit emotionally with people who don't share the same worldview that you do. And I know I struggle with only hanging around people that I know, people that are like me, and I see it, we see it everywhere. And so I like the idea that Toastmasters offers that opportunity. Um, Standing room only at one time was one of the most diverse clubs you could think of because there was a woman from Australia, a couple of women from Africa. I don't recall that we had any Asians, but it was like diversity, just diversity within the club, and it was there. We've lost that a little bit. I think some because of the COVID now. It's harder for people to want to come out, and so we have a group that meets online every other week. But I miss that idea that we had a wide range of cultures and personalities and beliefs as part of the club. And I would like to I hope we can get back to that. And I think that's also one of the things that happens in a lot of clubs. That there's a lot
Right.
of diversity of points of view and
Right.
cultures.
Yeah, I did enjoy that because there were a few folks that um I didn't know anything of. We had people from India, and that was really
Yes,
interesting.
yes,
We had a few folks from India that came in, and that was really fun to connect with them and stuff like that. So yeah,
thank you.
you're true. There's so many diverse people and ideas and beliefs. So it is a safe space. And again, if you're looking to like expand your speaking circle, I definitely would say look at a
Right.
club. There's clubs everywhere.
There are.
Um,
You can find one close to you.
all you have to do is Google Toastmasters, and I'm sure you can find a club
Yep,
somewhere.
yep.
So, Mr. Eric, what's the one thing you really want to leave the audience with?
Hmm. Well, I am going to say something that you used to say. If you want to get everything out of Toastmasters that you can, you'll never get out of Toastmasters. So that is still part of my thinking that um, you can always get better. I can always improve. People can always improve. So there is that aspect of it. The thing we've talked about, the other thing I want to leave people with is, well, I want to leave people with the idea that Toastmasters is a safe place to get better, to improve.
Mm-hmm.
And Toastmasters is a safe place to meet other people who don't have the same point of view as you do. I guess it comes down to, I think of Toastmasters as a safe place. You know, it's a place, it's safe. And our club, I know some clubs are much more rigid than ours, but we always had fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would always come out of any meeting more energized than when I went into it. That it was yeah, I just came out of it more energized.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. So, Mr. Eric, where can people find more information about standing room only if they want to join up or anything like that?
The You can start with Toastmasters itself. It's Toastmasters International. And I don't have the link right off the top of my head, but if you Google Toastmasters International, you'll get that. And then you can then you can put in there, search for clubs near me, and you'll find any clubs that are near you. For standing room only, you would Google standing room only and probably put in Toastmasters, because I think there's some other things that are called standing room only. But we do have a website. It shows you our meeting information, where we meet, which is on Firehouse and Route 4. Well, we used to. They're not open now, and so even if we wanted to meet live, we wouldn't have a place to go. We do it by Zoom now. So standing room only. There's no unusual spelling to it, just one word. I think .com will get you our website, and from there you just explore the website. There's a link that says directions. There's a link that says about us, and the front page has our meeting dates and all of those sorts of things on it. So there's the website, and we also have a Facebook group. And again, go to Facebook and do standing room only, and you'll get our group. I think it's our group page.
Okay. And again, I want to thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure and sharing your wisdom on Toastmasters. We'd love to have our conversation again on something else that you'd like to talk about.
That would be fine. This is a very quick 20 minutes, Tonia.
Yes, it is. I tell you, it's amazing how fast
it is. It
go
is.
by.
It went by really well, really fast. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
It's a pleasure to talk to you as well, sir.
Look forward to talking again some point.
Oh, yes, yes. And I want to remind everyone for tuning in, feedback is always welcome. Email us if you have any guest or show ideas. Links will always be posted in the comments. What you can do is like, share, and subscribe. And again, I want to thank Mr. Eric for being here and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you for having me, Tonia.
And I want to close out. Remember, take things in stride, go with the flow, create your own path, and thank you for tuning into this episode. We'll see you back here again next time. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Share with us. What was one of your takeaways from today's show? Post your answers in the comments.